Okay, so back here are the hybrid illustrations, and let me share my screen here. Okay, so what I ran is I tried to do the equivalent of what I did for the traditional, or close to it. I saw for a 6,000 monthly benefit and a 6-year benefit period, and that's they're no shared with hybrids, so they're each individual plans, no tying together, and at least of these three. We'll get to One America in a minute, but 6 years is also kind of their sweet spot. You can do a 4-year and it would lower the premium a bit, but I ran 6-year here with 3% compound. I did a 10 pay as the premium paying mode. You can do single pay or 5 pay in some cases with some carriers, or even stretch it for life pay, but 10 years I think is a good choice here. You can compare it with the traditional, and it's a good way to stretch out the tax advantages as well, which I'll get to in a minute. A complicated thing about hybrids and comparing them is the return of premium. There are different configurations or provisions. I always run at the maximum LTC benefit, because you really shouldn't be buying this if you plan to surrender the policy anyway. If you 10 years down, like with Securian, well, 6 years, it's totally vested. So even as short as 6 years from now, they could say, look, we want to get all our premium back. So they surrender the policy, they get all the premiums they paid, but they lose all the coverage they bought it for, both the death benefit and the long-term care benefit. So I don't pay any attention to this really, as far as, I mean, it's important to explain it to your client that they can get their premium back, but I don't think it's a way to go. So why even spend time talking about it if it's not advisable? In other words, this should be money. I tell clients, this should be money. This annual premium that you're going to pay should be money you can live without. Otherwise, it's really not the right product if you think you're going to need that money. And you're buying it for the benefit. You're really buying it for the benefit when you need it in your 80s. So basically, these plans are different in that the premiums are not far apart from each other. As you can see here, the total premiums paid over 10 years are about the same. The two here on the left and the far right are almost exactly the same. And so Nationwide and Lincoln are who I would look at, and I would go with Nationwide for a couple of reasons. One, they have a higher residual death benefit. What that is if they go on claim, say he goes on claim and exhausts his $144,000 face amount with long-term care, and then later dies, he would still get a higher residual death benefit or minimum death benefit, whereas with Lincoln, it's about a third of that. Now, one advantage to Lincoln is it does have a stronger death benefit. Now, you'll notice the long-term care benefits are exactly the same, which is merely a function of paying, $6,000 a month for over 6 years. So that's how that factors. But the other thing about Nationwide versus Lincoln, more importantly perhaps, is that it's a cash indemnity plan, not a reimbursement plan. So at claim time, once you meet one of the triggers, either needing 2 of 6 ADLs or cognitive impairment, that's what defines the need to where it turns on the income stream for payment of long-term care. Nationwide's simply going to cut a check. They're going to cut a check for $6,000 every month, whereas Lincoln Benefit Life, Lincoln MoneyGuard is going to pay it out as a reimbursement. In other words, you have to submit bills proving compensable service. Now, that may sound terrible. I own a reimbursement plan, a traditional plan. It's not that big a deal. You can still get your money, but nothing beats cash for flexibility. You can do what you want with that cash. And if you spend less than 6,000, they're still going to cut a check for 6,000. Whereas with a reimbursement, if your bills were only 5,000 that month, they're only going to send you 5,000. Where here you get the whole amount up front, and it's cash. You can do as you please with it, and you don't have to worry about submitting bills and so forth. So all things being equal, which they never are, I would tend to go with Nationwide here. So I ran a illustration. Let me go to that. This is not what I wanted to go to right now. This is the asset care. We'll get to that. Let me pull up a Nationwide app. Let's see, go here, not app, but here's Hank's illustration with Nationwide. It's pretty straightforward. By the way, let me know if any of this information on the page is not correct. We aim to please here. The second page gives you the major numbers, and which are kind of reflecting the same thing you saw on that sheet. It's a 10 pay, and you pay 15,000 and change a year for that total. This is just Hank's, of course. The next page, or actually a few pages out, this page 6, breaks down the premium for what portion is long-term care, and then these next 3 columns or lines show you the amount of premium paid for long-term care. This amount is taxable, I mean deductible for your taxes, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But if you add these up, so it's going to be over $4,000 of the portion that would be tax deductible, subject to what kind of entity he is. And I'll go over that in the tax video that I'll send you. The key page, though, if you scroll down, is going to be page number 12. That's the beginning of the tabular detail. So you can see all your key numbers are here. He would pay the 15,000 and change up for 10 years and totaling 150. Note that once it's fully funded, his death benefit equals the exact amount he pays in. So one way of looking at that is you get all this coverage for free, in that if you die in your sleep and never use it, you get your premium back. But if you have a claim, the way these hybrids work, your first dollars is going to pay out that 6,000 or whatever it's grown to until you exhaust your death benefit. Once you exhaust your death benefit, you go into the extension of long-term care benefit, which, as you see, is a much higher amount. And really, his problem is not what long-term care costs today. It's what it's going to cost when he needs it, which usually the wheels fall off the train when you're 80, in your 80s. So at 82, you'll notice the benefit is 919,000, his long-term care pool. Now that's including the death benefit. But it extends out to almost $1 million. It would be $1 million at age 85. So that's what you're really buying this for. Is that protection for you're taking steps for when I need it down the road. In this case, 22 years out, if that's when he needs it, this is the money he would have available for long-term care. So I hope that's helpful to understand the Nationwide product. This, by the way, this guaranteed minimum death benefit of 28, that comes into play if he exhausts his death benefit, and then goes on to use more long-term care at his death. Even though he'd exhausted his death benefit, that would be paid out to his beneficiary as a minimum, the 28,800. And this is where Nationwide's pretty strong compared to the other carriers too, by the way. All right, so then I had one for Lisa as well, which is similar. But I wanted to show you the One America. Here, it's a different animal in that, well, in this case, I ran it without inflation. Let me go to the one with inflation first. Okay. That's more apple to apple. Here we go. What I ran here is I saw for the same 6,000 a month, but as far as benefit period, their sweet spot is unlimited. And this would be one of the main appeals of One America if they want the extra peace of mind, willing to pay for it and so forth, of having that sucker never run out. It's unlimited benefits. They would put in 24,190, and you'll notice that's lower. This is a combined joint plan, covers both of them. The 24,000 a year for 10 years is less than the 30 approximate that you see with Nationwide. So it has the appeal of a lower premium and unlimited benefits. Where it's weak, it's going to be a little less. This is a combined face amount, and it's a second to die policy. So it would not pay out that amount until both have died, and it would pay that 200, assuming nobody had a claim. At claim time, though, it's subtracted from that, and you use, like all hybrids, you use the death benefit to pay the first initial claims until that's exhausted. Then it goes into the extension. And in the case of One America, it's lifetime unlimited, inexhaustible. So it would also, it pays, the way I constructed it here, I put inflation on the COB, not the death benefit. It would be really expensive if you did that. So this is the way I would encourage you to construct it if you put inflation on it, is put 3% on the COB. So the first 200 would pay out of pocket at $6,000 a month, and then it goes to the inflated amount after that. Pages on here show you that grows, but you'd have to blow through the first 200, and then it goes, or at 6,000, and then once you get to, like, if it's 20 years out, it would pay 10,000 a month once you reach the COB, the continuation of benefit rider. I had inflation growing for 20 years. I don't think they're going to be too concerned about inflation once they're in their mid 70s or late 70s in the case of Hank. You robbed the cradle a little bit there. Everything's guaranteed with all these hybrids. The numbers are guaranteed, of course, both benefits and premiums, no rate increases and so forth. So that, what I did here, that's with inflation. Then I took the 24,190, and I wanted to show you without inflation what it looked like. So I ran it the same way, except with the same premium, except I took out the inflation, and you'll notice it upped the death benefit to 265,000, increased that, but it also increased the monthly benefit. But it does not inflate. So when they get to the COB rider, instead of having those much higher amounts, it would maintain at 79.72. One America is weaker for your more common short-term claims, because like the other programs inflate from the get-go the amount they're going to pay out here at this monthly benefit. But One America, even on the one with inflation, isn't going to inflate until you get to the COB benefit. Of course, here it's not going to inflate at all because I ran it without inflation. But it has great appeal for those that want an unlimited amount, and again, the lower premium is the attraction of One America. So that's an overview of these hybrid products. I will be sending you a video soon of the just the tax benefits, and that'll be forthcoming shortly.